Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troller. 1972 to 1975.
Game 345, Yankees at Blue Jays.
Welcome back, baseball fans. The 1972-75 Carryover League. We got a series today in the American League East between the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Interesting idea for the timeline. Of course, Toronto would not even exist in this a couple years before their existence. They don't come around until 77. We put together a pretty cool ragtag team for these guys that went to the playoffs a year ago and are a scrappy bunch. Meanwhile, the Yankees have had a terrible season, slumping, and the team was sold. The stadium's been renovated. They have a new shipbuilding owner who's not exactly pleased with his team. They also came into this series with an underused roster where they had some relief pitchers like Luke Walker, Fred Bean, only throwing 4 innings all year. And had Ron Swoboda only had 15 at-bats. Not enough playing time. Misuse of a roster. And when I say that, it's because all teams are supposed to have 10 innings pitched by all pitchers, 30 at-bats by all players by the All-Star break in this scenario. And if you don't have that, there's some kind of penalty involved. And if you overachieve, you get a draft pick next year, a compensation pick. No team has failed. The Yankees were on course to fail. And I had even had a penalty involved. I think I guess I'd make the penalty that you'd lose an 8th round pick and swap it out in an undrafted free agency. Or if it's egregious, then maybe a 7th round pick and you swap that out in free agency. But it's not an issue anymore because those guys have participated. Let's go right into this thing. Game 1 in Yankee Stadium, under construction. There's cement mixers out there. There's scaffolding and so forth. Doyle Alexander for the visitors. Mel Stottlemyre for the Yankees. This one, Yanks get a walk by Roy White and a 2-out RBI single by Munson, pleasing the owner. 1-zip. But in the second inning, Bernie Allen makes an error and a sac fly by Darrell Chaney ties the game at 1. Yankees take a lead in the third after 2 outs with an RBI single by Greg Nettles, also pleasing the owner. But in the fourth inning, Stottlemyre surrenders a 2-run homer to Tommy A.G. Oh boy. Former Met, crosstown, Met Yankee rival, whatever. 3-2 now, and Stottlemyre gives up some runs in the 7th inning. You have a 2-out, 2-run double by Mike Lum, the most valuable Blue Jay a year ago. They had a couple more runs in the 9th inning. It is 7-2, and the Toronto Blue Jays, behind Doyle Alexander, win Game 1, 7-2. 8 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 6 walks, 3 Ks for Doyle. Stottlemyre, 7 1/3, 10 hits, 5 runs. Toronto did not walk or strike out in the baseball game. It's happened before, just a handful of times. Very peculiar. No walks, no strikeouts by a Blue Jay batter in the game. But they somehow won 7-2. Now let's go to game number 2 here in Yankee Stadium. And the orders up above from the Yankee owner was, look, if they don't win this game, they want to tank the season and try and get the first overall pick in the draft. Well, let's take a look at Game 2. A colorful ending means it went extra innings. Jerry Royce versus Jim McAndrew. First of all, Royce went 9 innings in this game and left with 8 hits and 2 runs allowed. McAndrew went 7 innings for the Yankees, 4 hits and 2 runs allowed. And it indeed was the bullpen of the Yankees, those guys I mentioned earlier. Luke Walker threw 3 innings. And Fred Bean threw 4 innings. And that seemed to right the participation part of the scale for the Yankees in a 14-inning game. Bottom of the 14th, Bobby Mercer leads off with a solo shot, and the Yankees win 3-2, evening the series a game apiece. Also, Swoboda had 5 plate appearances, and now they're kind of, as far as that participation I was talking about, they seem to be back on course with the other baseball clubs without suffering a noticeable penalty, we don't think. Game 3, Mike Kekich for the Yankees. The Blue Jays at home will send Clyde Wright. Another 9-inning pitching performance by a Blue Jays starter. Clyde Wright in this game collects a victory. 6 hits, a run allowed in the first inning. And now this is starting to get on the nerves of a Yankees owner, because in the bottom of the 3rd inning, you get a walk, a foul out, a single, a K. Then with 2 outs, the Yankee catcher commits an error with 2 on and 2 outs. The Yankee catcher, Munson, followed up by a Jim Brazil grand slam. Now that's going to ruffle the feathers of the Yankee owner. His young star catcher he's not exactly pleased with. Toronto catcher Milt May hits a solo homer in the 6th. And the punchless Yankee offense loses another one, 5-1. Let's go to Game 4, and it's going to get worse, folks, before it gets better for New York. Game 4, Doc-Medich versus Carl Morton. Toronto comes out guns blazing in the bottom of the 1st with single, pop-out single. Then you get a catcher's X on a 1-catcher Munson. It's a pass ball, letting another run score, and the Yankee owner is not very happy with his young catcher. 3 runs. Bottom of the 6th inning, 2 outs, a single. Monson hits a double to center fielder and Bobby Mercer. They're going to try and score on Bobby Mercer's -2 arm from first base. They do, and Mr. Steinbrenner is not pleased with his center fielder, Bobby Mercer. Then in the 8th inning, Milt May leads off with an error off the 3rd baseman, and Mr. Steinbrenner is not pleased with his 3rd baseman, Greg Nettles, either. Final score, the punchless offense of the Yankees, again, can't figure out Carl Morton till late when they get a run. 7 2/3 innings, 8 hits and a run allowed, beating Doc-Medich 4-1. When you look at the overall stats, the Blue Jays, how cool are the Blue Jays, folks? They're just a game under 500. This ragtag group. They're hitting .245. They got a .337 ERA. They've got very competitive starting pitching. Alexander, Royce, Wright, and Morton are all outstanding. Well, they're above average. Very good. Very stable. Halfway decent bullpen. Some bats are in here are nice. Jim Brazil's got 6 homers playing 3rd base. Yankees hitting .265 with a .373 ERA, and they're just losing games with a 6-11 record. Now they are 2 full games behind the Blue Jays in the standing, bringing up the rear of the American League East. Overall, the Yankees have scored 65 runs, given up 77, so that's probably right for a losing record. Toronto actually scored 88 runs, giving up 87. So they're right around the 500, that kind of thing. Overall standings, there it is. There are Yankees down there, 6-11, 4.5 games behind Boston in the East. And I think the Yankees might be playing the Orioles for the All-Star break in the next series. And Boston plays Toronto. Yeah, Boston will play Toronto. Interesting. So the Blue Jays, boy, they'd like to win this game. Win this series 4-1. That put them tied with 500 records with the Orioles. How about that? I mean, the Blue Jays have a legitimate chance of then walloping the Red Sox and going all the way up top here in a winner take nothing American League East, where not much is going on really. Anyway, let's get to today's game. It is Game 5 in Toronto. Kingdom's not built. Exhibition Stadium is under construction as well. They might just be playing in some lot somewhere. I don't know where the Blue Jays would be playing in 1972 to 75. Somewhere in Toronto, you think. Today's starting pitchers, we'll see kind of the best pitchers in each staff coming back. Mel Stottlemyre pitched game 1. 16-game winner in 73, 307 ERA, and 273 innings. And on 3 days rest, coming back is Jerry Royce, who pitched 9 innings in game 2 to a no decision. 18-game winner for your Pirates in 75, 254 ERA, 237 innings. If you're wondering how the Blue Jays got their hands on Jerry Royce, it's because the Pirates had too many lefties. They had Candelaria. They selected Candelaria instead of Royce to join Jim Rooker and Ramon Hernandez. And you can only have 3. So the Blue Jays swooped in like a Blue Jay would swoop in for a peanut left on a picnic table to get him. All right. Leading off for your New York Yankees today, Sandy Alomar. 310, flies to left. Ron Swoboda China draws a walk. Bobby Mercer, 310, he draws a walk. Thurman Munson, 37, skies left. And Elliot Maddox, 49, single on a 1, lines out. Again, all bluster. No bluster, all bust. Nothing happened for the Yanks there. Bottom of 1, Jerry Hairston leads off. 68 is a base hit. Mike Lum, 45, second C. Runner moves to second base for Ed Kranepool, newest former Met to join. Previous former Mets, Clendenon, AG, and Cleon Jones. 2 outs, and here is Tommy AG. 2-5, roller to short. Top of 2, it's Greg Nettles. 36, single 1-4, base hit. Fred Kendall, 46, double 1-2, base hit. On the corners for Chris Chambliss. 33, he lines out. On the corners for Stick Michael. 6'10", center X. AG's a 3-6 in center field. And he cannot get an angle on that one. That's going to be a 2-base hit for Stick Michael. The Yanks are on the board and threatening. Second and third, 1 out. Infield has to come up for Abe Bunning, Sandy Alomar. 39, single 1-6. Cannot get it on a 13. And with 2 outs, it's Ron. I'm going to get you on a Swoboda China. 66. Skies to center field. Well, 5 base runners for the Yankees. They get 1 run. Bottom of 2. Jim Brazil, the leading home run hitter for your Blue Jays. 45, bouncer to second. Milt May, 47, second X. Alomar, 2E19, makes the play. And Cleon Jones, 2-6 is a base hit. Darrell Cheney, 1-6, bounce out to short. Top of the third, here's Bobby Mercer, 2-6. Let's take a look at Bobby Mercer's card of 1972. My goodness, folks, this is going to be the last monster year in the old Yankee Stadium where he just tears it up with the power and the batting average. Then when they move over to Shea, his numbers are going to start to dip a little bit. Not his fault, just the ballpark he's playing in. Boy, Bobby in 72, 30 doubles, 33 dingers, a 292 average, and 2-6 is triple 125. That's a base hit. Thurman Munson, 2-6 for Munson's a base hit to left field. Mercer, 15 runner, 0 arms. Does he go coast to coast? He's going to try it. Be aggressive, and it does. Oh, the Yankees just cannot get a break this season. Just want to go coast to coast. They want a 15, just can't get it. Not only do it with 1 out, try to do it with 0 outs. Munson's up first, 1 out. Elliot Maddox. 37's a walk. First and second, 1 out. Greg Nettles. 1-7 is a 4-6-3 double play, inning over again. The Yankees just cannot do anything with 8 base runners. You either don't run, you do run, doesn't matter. They've been having that kind of year. Dan Monson, 36, draws a walk. Up top to Jerry Hairtown, 53. Left X. He's a 3-6 Swoboda. And he can't make a play on it. It's a base hit. Blue Jays have something on Mike Lum. 68. Base hit off Strat-O-Matic. We got a tie game. Jerry Hairston will stay put at second base. He'll not take on the Mercer arm. 2 on. Nobody out. Ed Kranepool. 38. He skies the center. Tommy A.G. 1-3. Center B plus injury. Well, that's a drag. They're going to look on the bench for another outfielder. Ted Ford will come into the top of the following inning to play left, and Cleon Jones will have to play center field for the injured AG here. With 2 outs, first and second, Jim Brazil. 2-12, bounces the second. Well, both teams squandering opportunities. Into the fourth, it's Fred Kendall. 6-10, center X. The new center fielder's Cleon, a 4-E-10 in center. Playing out of position. He's better off in left, but he makes the catch here. That's a big out. Chris Chambliss, 3-11, rolls to second base. Gene Stick Michael pops to first. Bottom of the fourth. The Yankees have yet to light up in an inning any of this Toronto starting pitching in this series. Milt May, 2-9, first. I mean, you had Clyde Wright with a complete game. Royce threw 9 innings. Carl Morton only gave up 1 run in 7 2/3. Doe Alexander pitched well in the opener. Cleon Jones, 46, second X. Second baseman Alomar's at 2-19. Makes the play. You had to go 14 innings for the Yankees to get a win, for Pete's sakes. Darrell Chaney, 63, first. We'll go to the fifth. Tied at 1. Sandy Alomar. 57's a K. Ron Swoboda, 66. Skies to center field. And Bobby Mercer again flies to right field. Nice day for Royce. 1 run. Settles down after the 8 base runners in the first 3 frames. Bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
All right. The Blue Jays, number 9 hitter and second baseman Dan Monson. 3-10. Lies left. Back up top to Jerry Hairston. 35, single 1 of 6, gets it. Mike Lum, 58, pops to short, and with 2 outs. Ed Kranepool, 67, single on a 1-18 chance, gets it. 2 on, 2 outs. Neither team in the done anything in the clutch today. Ted Ford, the new outfielder for AG. 1-2. Oh boy, we are losing outfielders for Toronto. So Ted Ford, ground ball to short, plus injury. Well, we've lost 2 outfielders in the number 4 spot, AG and now Ford. We're running out of outfielders on this team. Cleon Jones is out there. Mike Lum's out there. And Jerry Hairston can play at left field. He's a 4-15. So Hairston will play left field, have to finish the game. But in lieu of losing outfield defense, we'll put Tim Foley in the game to play some shortstop. Darrell Chaney will move to second base, and Monson will take over the DH spot in what I call a free substitution pattern, unlike the traditional substitution rules, where the pitcher would have to go into that spot. We don't do that in our league because we only have 20 players on our roster instead of 26. So it is still 1-1 into the top of the 6th, and it will be Thurman Munson leading off. 37, flies to left. Elliot Maddox, 4-10, pops to third. Greg Nettles, 1-10, skies to center field. Bottom of the 6th. It is Jim Brazil, 55, flies to right. Milt May, 2-7, single on a 14, gets it. Leon Jones, 310. Hit by pitch, 2 on, 1 out for Daryl Cheney, 310. Another walk. The bases are loaded with 1 out for Stottlemyre. Bring it up, play it back for double play. Let's look at the Monson card. We'll take a look here. He played for the Twins in 72 with 55 at-bats. And it's great that Strat-O-Matic prints some of these cards. That's a pretty, you could play this out for a full season if you wanted to for an expansion team like the Blue Jays, just to get, all these fringe extra player cards. That's what the expansion teams need. And Monzon can do that. He's got a couple ground ball Bs on the card. Let's bring the infield up because of that. Dan Monzon. 37 is a K. 2 outs. Back up top to Jerry Hairston. Now, if the Yankees were clever here, Hairston, who has to play in this game, you could put a left-handed pitcher in there, and he can't hit lefties very well at all, and you can't yank him for a pinch hitter. But with the bases loaded, he does have walks on his card. So Stottlemyre will pitch to him. Here's the pitch to Jerry Hairston. 1-8. Let's take a look at the Hairston card. He does convert. Like I said, if you look at him against lefties first, he still has those walks on 5, 6, 7, and 8, which would have scored a run off a lefty. Of course, it's much more devastating against a right-handed starting pitcher. You wouldn't mind the bases loaded walk in the 3 column, but you did get a hit in the 1 column. It's a single to right field to give the Blue Jays the run. Now the question is, do you want to run Cleon Jones against the right fielder is Elliot Maddox at a -3 arm. Cleon is a 14, 15, 16, -3. He's going to run, needs a 13 or better. He's thrown out on an 18 by Elliot Maddox. So, what is basically the equivalent of a bases loaded walk, in this case, a single scoring one guy, another guy getting thrown out to the plate. It's actually worse because a bases loaded walk, you'd still be batting with Mike Lum. But you get an RBI single, and you get a guy thrown out at the plate, and that inning is over. But your Blue Jays have a 2-1 lead. Into the 7th. Jerry Royce against Fred Kendall. 1-7, and that's triple 1-7 off the Kendall card. That's a base hit, breaking a string of 11 in a row retired. Number 8 hitter, Chris Chambliss. 110, right on cue, a 1-6-3 double play. And with 2 outs, Gene Michael. 65, flies to center field. My goodness, folks, it is stretch time here in Toronto, and we are enjoying listening to, yes, of course, as we often do in Toronto games, Rush. Geddy Lee, big fan of the Blue Jays. He's very young here. In 75, one of the first couple records to come out by them, Caress of Steel, featuring Lakeside Park and The Necromancer, Fountain of Lamninth. Good stuff by your Rush 1975 LP, right inside the timeline here. Bottom of the 7th. Blue Jays with a 2-1 lead. They've had great pitching throughout this series. Their only blemish was losing in 14 innings, 3-2. They need to add some runs here, as their defense has been knocked around, losing Tommy A.G. and Ted Ford in this game. So they have to score some runs, or hope the Yankees don't hit fly ball X's to their outfield. Here it is, Mike Lum leading off in the bottom of the 7th. 5-10. Flies are right. Stottlemyre bearing down here. Ed Kranepool, 68, base hit. Now you got Tim Foley in the dreaded number 4 spot, which has been killing Blue Jay players. Tim Foley. 310, short B. Fielder's choice, B Steeler. You know, I know Munson's got a -3 arm, but the Yankees have been so unlucky this year, you might just get a break with a stolen base. Let's try it. A 10. It's close. -3 arm being held. Nope, not close enough. Too much arm for Munson. And that's a caught stealing for Tim Foley. By the way, Tim Foley is a B stealer. And all the other Blue Jays are E or D Steelers. So I'm always trying to get a Tim Foley stolen base so this team has, cracks the needle, brings it above 0 to like 1 or 2 on the year, something like that, just to show that we're at least trying to count for them. Top of the 8th, you have Jerry Royce, struggled early, managed to just give up 1 run, settled down nicely. Very good bullpen with some unknown guys like Rorik Harrison, Elias Sosa, Phil Hennigan, Eddie Bain. Collectively, they're not bad. 6 outs to get to win the series. Top of the lineup, Royce the starter 8. I think we're going to force him into a point of weakness before we yank him, because he's a horse. It'll be Sandy Alomar leading off. 46 off of the Royce card is double 1 and 2 base hit. Now he is a base stealer. Milt May's got a 0 arm. Ron Swoboda is the batter with a lot of walks on his card. I don't like to steal in front of a guy who walks so much. Let's see what Swoboda can do. He doesn't have a lot of double plays on his card either. 36 is ball 4, and Royce is in trouble here. 2-1, nobody out in a 2-1 game. And it's Bobby Mercer. I think this is, at this point, Royce would be on the hook for a loss if the Yankees rallied. So you may as well have Royce battle Mercer, a lefty, and force the issue with a point of weakness before you yank him. Bobby Mercer, 2-on, nobody out in the top of the 8th. Here's the pitch to Bobby. 69 off Royce is a sky to center field, but there's nobody on third base to score. Just a long can of corn there. Alomar jogs back to second base, Swoboda at first, and you got the Yankee captain, Thurman Munson. Have we looked at his card? Let's take a look at Munson before he swings here. He's made some mistakes in this series that the ownership's not pleased with, and those two guys aren't getting off to a good relationship to start things in the Yankee tenure. 73 Munson, you could argue, is probably better than the MVP version of Munson in 76. As he still has that -3 arm. He was once a -4 arm. I think there was an injury that hurt his throwing throughout the latter part of his career. But he's got 20 homers here and a .301 average and the throwing arm, something he would not have. He wouldn't have all 3 of those things in 1976 and beyond. Here's the pitch to Thurman Munson. 64 off Royce, third X, but you got some bad defense there as well. Jim Brazil is a .418, and he gets the GBA. And how you score this, folks, if you've been watching, if it's in parentheses like it is, it regards the E rating of the player, not the fielding rating. And the E rating here, Brazil is an 18. It's good through 19 for a double play. That's 5-4-3. My goodness, folks. Another ridiculous bad break. 2-1, nobody out. Mercer Munson, innings over. What do the Yankees have to do to break this nasty spell they're under? Bottom of the 8th. Mel Stoudemire's pitched a fine game. Has put a lot of guys on, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's just take him out after 7 and bring in Sparky Lyle. Just because Sparky's probably the best pitcher on the team. Sparky Lyle. This is 72 version of Sparky. First season outside of Boston after the big trade for Danny Cater. 9-5, 192 ERA in 108 innings. Eventually gets a Cy Young, I believe. 76 or 77, one of those years. Bottom of the 8th, and it'll be Jim Brazil, left-handed hitting third baseman, leading off. 5-12 off Lyle, rolls the pitcher. Milt May, 68, pops to third. And Cleon Jones, 64, short X. Stick Michael is a 3-34 at short, and that's going to be a base hit. Darrell Chaney, 45. Darrell Chaney off the Lyle card. And by the way, these left-handed batters, left-handed pitching doesn't bother them at all. Very good thing to have on an expansion team, by the way. 4-5, Lyle, always better against righties than lefties anyway, is double to right field. So Cleon Jones could score from first on a double. We tried it earlier in the 6th inning. He's, again, a 14, 15, 16. Now you got not Mercer, but you got Maddox in right field with a -3 arm. So we're going to try it again. It's going to be a 13 shot here for Cleon Jones, and he's running, and he runs and scores on the 1. So he does get the run, 3-1, sliding in safely. Number 9 hitter, Dan Monson. 110, base hit left field, and Cheney will run 14, 15, 16 off Swoboda. But he's thrown out on an 18. So, some courageous throws by Yankee outfielders in this game. And it's a 3-1 affair into the 9th. Jerry Royce, he's gone back out there. He's already thrown 9 innings once in this series. You would assume a left-handed starting pitcher would do good against the Yankees, as they have the lefties Nettles and Chambliss. They have Gene Locklear on the bench, Bernie Allen on the bench, Bobby Mercer. So, and of course, they're much, eventually they have Reggie and Oscar Gamble and Jim Spencer and all those dudes later in the decade. So Jerry Royce will go in the 9th. Again, 2 base runners, hits the point of weakness anyway, after putting 2 men on at the top of the 8th. So that would be a good point to yank him so he's not to get a loss, to go to a closer or a lefty-righty matchup in some form. So Royce goes back out there with a 2-run lead. There is no more defense to bring in for the Blue Jays. As a matter of fact, there's only one more player left on the bench after all the injuries, and that's Carl Taylor, a catcher. So we go to the 9th. It's going to be Maddox, Nettles, Kendall for what is effectively the Yankee season, though it seems like it's been toast anyway. Elliot Maddox will lead off for the 9th. Here's the pitch. 2-7 for Elliot is a walk. And now your tie run is Greg Nettles. Let's take a look at Greg. This is still a Cleveland card of 72 because he's a 2 third baseman, and for some weird reason he's a 3 third baseman in 3, 4, and 5. So he's stuck with the 72 version of Greg. And next year they're going to bump him up to the 76 New York version because he leads the American League in home runs in 76 with 32 of them. So here he is, big moment. Big swing here would tie it off of Royce. Here's the pitch. Greg Nettles. 1-7 just misses it. And of course, what do we have, folks? A 4-6-3 double play for the 3rd inning in a row. The Yankees, and for the 4th double play of the game. You're seeing what a nightmare year it has been for the Bronx Bomberless. There's no bombing in the Bronx, not with this punchless bunch. 2 outs. Blue Jay fans are on their feet. This is 500. This is a chance to compete for the playoffs or even the division, folks. That's what is going on today. It'll be Fred Kendall. Have we shown you his card? Let's show it to you. He was added to the team along with Gene Locklear in a trade with the Padres. And boy, the Padres kind of made a mistake with that one, as Kendall actually plays a full season in 73, hitting .282 with 10 home runs. So the Yankees have an overabundance of catching talent with him and Munson, with plenty of weaknesses on the roster and other positions. Bernie Allen, Ron Swoboda, guys like that. Anyway, here's the pitch to Fred Kendall. 48 off of Royce is ball 4. And it'll come down to Chambliss as the tie run. We'll show you Chris Chambliss. He doesn't have power versus lefties. Wouldn't matter anyway. Jerry Royce doesn't give up homers to lefties. He's got a homer chance on 3/6 to possibly tie the game. His best batting average in New York at .304. He'll eventually be a 2 first baseman and generally hit you 17, 19 homers and a .282, .285 average for most of his career. Has more power in Atlanta in a little ballpark later on. Here's the pitch to Chris Chambliss. 310 off the Chambliss card is a fly ball to center field that is caught by whoever is currently playing center field for this team. That's Cleon Jones. And that is the ball game. The Blue Jays win another one, and they win the series 4-1. We'll take you right through the box on this one, folks. Wow. The Blue Jays could have won 5 in a row had they scored a third run in that 14-inning affair. They only had 2. This is a win for Jerry Royce. He's pitched 18 innings in 2 games, has a no decision and a victory, 7 hits, a run in the second, 6 walks with 1 strikeout, which is bizarre. Give him a complete game. The Yankees, Sparky Lyle, well, gave up the 3 hits and a run in his 1 inning. Stottlemyre gave up 9 hits and the 2 runs. They were both earned. Guys got thrown out at the plate, which is why you see the Blue Jays with 12 hits but just 3 runs. 3 walks allowed by Stottlemyre and a strikeout. It's almost like you'd flip the logos, and the team that won this game is like a New York Yankees kind of team. The team that failed miserably would be an expansion Toronto type of team. You know, but not in our carryover league, folks. 1009 0108 31217 31217 6131. Game 5 is in the books. This Yankee team, plus we've shuffled the lineup all year long, it just doesn't matter. Sticking with a lineup, shuffling a lineup, running the bases, don't run the bases, hitting into double plays. They don't have much speed at all, if any. They could use a guy like Mickey Rivers on this team. They could use a guy like Reggie Jackson on this team. You know, eventually they'll get Catfish Hunter. Have like 1 good year. 76 gets a ring, I believe. Or no, he doesn't get the World Series ring. I think he gets a World Series ring in 77, though. Catfish Hunter. Anyway. Oh, there it is. 11-11. Your Toronto Blue Jays now hitting 249, 327 ERA. Jerry Royce is 4-0. Is he going to the All-Star game, folks? Wouldn't be a shocker. I think he's been to All-Star games. Maybe even for both the Pirates and then later on the Dodgers. But he's 4-0. Offensively, this team's kind of mediocre. But look, they're 11-11. And again, they scored 91 runs, gave up 88. And the Yankees, just more blah. Just more blah, whatever. Disinterested baseball playing by this team. And we look at the standings. There are your Blue Jays. They've caught Baltimore at 500. So here's your scenario. If the Blue Jays play the Red Sox, if they can somehow, I know this is hard to imagine, because the Red Sox actually are playing good baseball this year, unlike the Yankees. But if the Yankees were, if the Blue Jays were to beat the Red Sox 4-2, they'd have the tiebreaker and be in first place at the All-Star break in the American League East. So thanks for checking it out. Break up your ragtag Blue Jays. They beat the Bronx Bomberless 4-1. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.